In the northern reaches of the empire, a terror plagues the land. For decades, the demonic Oni have descended upon this land, subjecting it to their insatiable hunger. The empire was driven to desperation, resolving to confront the unholy menace at its very heart. Yet, as they forged ahead, hope was shattered by an ambush. Amidst this harrowing scene, 4 heroes stand torn between duty and despair. True salvation lies in conquering Mount Bjordal, where darkness reigns supreme. Embrace the chilling call of the northern wind.
Hi guys!
Hey everyone.
Hello.
I'm Tiasha, the co-creator of Eldfall Chronicles.
I'm Giga.
And Aleš.
Who are you guys? Tell a bit more.
I am supposed to be the CEO and main founder of Eldfall Chronicles, but otherwise I also do things like illustration, lore, gameplay, and so on.
And I'm the COO and also one of the developers.
So yeah.
So today we have gathered here to discuss the previous successfully funded Kickstarter campaign.
Clapping to ourselves. Oh yeah, by the way, Patrick.
I'm sure they're clapping as well.
Yeah, just to introduce the rest of the team. Patrick is behind the camera, so you can't really see him, but Samo is missing today. So I guess that's the sad part of it. But in any case...
He's here with us in spirit.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you'll see him in the skirmish video.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, first off, guys, we really want to thank you for following along our Kickstarter campaign. We were so happy with how everything turned out. It was super positive. We had a blast. I hope you guys did as well. Thank you so much for supporting us, for achieving so much. Yeah, we couldn't be more grateful.
It was for sure one of the most pleasant campaigns I ever experienced in general, not just Eldfall Chronicles.
Yeah.
Aleš, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it was so good that we had to cut our hair.
Yeah. We had a little bet going on, like how well the process will go, and Aleš was like, he listed a number that was impossible in his mind, and we said that sure, if we overpass that number, he will have to get a buzz cut, and Tiasha will have to paint her hair.
So that number was basically 250.
Something like that.
We were like chatting one evening. We were all kind of feeling burnt out and so on, but we were like super happy how the campaign was going, because like the first days of the campaign were super fast. Honestly, like everything was happening.
But that was all prior to campaign, like.
Yeah, but when the campaign started already.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, and then we basically said like, okay, so if we ever come to 250, which was basically like our dream goal, I guess, for this campaign.
This was like
he would get a buzz cut.
Unexpected number, basically, for us.
Yeah.
And Giga also.
I got a buzz cut like years ago, involuntarily, so that, you know.
Yeah, and I still have to cut my hair and paint my hair, so that's coming.
Not on buzz cut though, but still.
Not buzz cut, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe something out of character. I'll see, yeah.
Yeah, check us out in Essen.
Yeah, you'll be able to see the fruits of the bet there. And like making a segue of it, like we'll be present at Essen. We will be having our own booth. You will know the exact number where and so on, closer to the actual event. But definitely do stop by and visit us, and you know, you can talk with us about anything. Like come and say hi. We appreciate you.
We're super glad whenever we meet you. So please don't be afraid to say hello.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and we will be even having some playing area there as well.
Yeah.
So you know, you can give it a go against one of us and so on, or you know, bring a friend and play it out.
And we'll be having demos, so you can try out the game firsthand.
As well
learn
as
about it.
Not just the skirmish, also the Northern Wind. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Awesome. So okay, the next thing we want to go through, I guess, the stats of the campaign, how everything went, and then maybe just discuss it a bit, and then we're gonna continue from there.
Yeah, just give it a brief overview, I guess, and then we'll be moving to like Q&A behind the scenes and so on. We'll be touching things like lore and stuff like that. Like there was plenty of that in the questions already. We'll go deeper into these things if we have enough time. Otherwise, we will ask you to like prepare some questions for the next time, more like focused on lore and things like that, so that we can have like, you know, a more fun, you know, fantasy immersive live stream next time as well.
Yeah, expect more of this in the future as well. So the funding of the campaign, I guess this is a good segue to jump into it. The funding of the campaign was so successful for us, a small company, I guess, that it will allow us to make more content in the future, have more videos, more professional stuff, I guess.
Yes, I mean, we'll explain that later in a later bit, but definitely like making videos and so on is not the easiest thing, and
well, you need a studio, so
that as well.
That as well.
I mean, we are doing a pretty good job here with all the Patrick's equipment, basically.
Thank you.
It looks like we have, a nice setup over here, but in reality, like for making big gameplay videos and so, that's a bit harder to make. Northern Wind is fine because we can be sitting, but like skirmish where two people have to stand, that's a bit more difficult.
Yeah,
But-
this setup looks completely different if you turn the camera around.
Let them imagine. Okay, so the stats. I guess one of the highlights, I think, for everyone we talked with, and we're super happy
Including ourselves.
including ourselves, yeah, just like we were super happy that we funded in basically 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Our minds were completely blown. Like we were like, okay, maybe we'll fund in a couple of hours. We didn't know how this would go.
We were hoping on like the first, the second day or something like that.
Yeah. So that everything would go, upscaling from that point. But we funded in 29 minutes, thanks to you guys. It was mind-blowing. And friends were like, we really wanted it to come under 30 minutes, and it did. So yeah,
You
it was
should
awesome.
have seen how behind the scenes looked then. Like we started the campaign and immediately numbers started going up and we were like complete silence, like red alert in the submarine. Every single person on their own PC, like addressing everything, looking at comments, preparing the upcoming stuff. And Aliaj was nagging me so much, like, when is this gonna be ready? When is that gonna be ready? Like suddenly I had to get, a bunch of stretch goals, polished out and
Yeah, graphically
Yeah.
ready. Like one stretch goal usually takes an hour or more to get ready. So yeah,
No,
we
just
were
to get,
like,
just to assemble it graphically,
Yeah.
so it looks nice, and then upload it on the Kickstarter and so on.
take some time, yeah.
And yeah, Aliash was like next to me. I was, behind my drawing tablet.
We were all
Uh,
panicking.
yeah.
From happiness, though. From
Yeah,
happiness.
yeah.
We had sweet problems in
Yeah,
the
we
first
had
days.
sweet problems, yeah, to be honest. Okay, so in the end, we got 964% funded. So just under 1,000% funded, which is really amazing, like better than we ever
Unexpected, as we said.
Yeah, awesome. Just
Thank you for
really,
your
really
support.
awesome. So you pledged
lot.
265,000, a little over, and yeah, again, this will allow us to make Northern Wind as best as it can be. We're gonna give it our all, obviously, and also it's gonna bring about more art, more lore. It also, I guess, gives us the
It-
capacity to think about future releases
Yeah,
more comfortably.
It
and
gives
so on.
us a lot more freedom with future releases, as well as like basically just in general adding more content to everything. I think that's a very huge plus. And yeah, we are immensely grateful for that experience and opportunity, and we'll be doing our best.
Yeah. Okay, so we had 1,380 backers. Awesome number. We unlocked 20 stretch goals, 60 daily unlocks, 3 social stretch goals, and some free gifts at the end. So yeah, I would say that was
Yeah,
super
it was huge.
impressive.
Like especially for us, and I think in general the campaign, it was pretty awesome in any
Yeah.
case.
Let's quickly look at the stretch goals if you can. Patrick, please.
Just a second.
Okay. I think you can see them now. So these are the dailies. Yes, no, wait, sorry. Okay, so these are the dailies. We unlocked a lot of, so the dailies were, I guess, some of them were physical additions to the game. Most of them were gameplay additions to the game.
And content.
Yeah, and new content. So for example, okay, you got like a campaign map, that was the first one, we really liked that one. Then the Goblin Skirmish faction obviously is a huge addition to the skirmish game.
I mean, there is to add that like you have figured out many things that we already were planning to do, and yeah, you already drew the spoilers out from us even before this daily is unlocked, in many cases at least. But yeah, in general, we had a lot of fun with the dailies, and I do think that they add a lot to the entire Northern Wind experience and the skirmish as well, like in general, since maybe for those who don't know or weren't paying attention with these things, like everything we make is cross-compatible. So yeah, you can use anything from Northern Wind in skirmish and vice versa, both now and in the future as well.
Yeah.
Just one thing to keep in mind.
So don't forget that basically every stretch goal we unlocked is going to be useful to you in one way or the other, and we think that, well, they're all very cool, I think. We really wanted to include them. So I think I'm just going to point out a few of them that are the highlights, maybe really interesting to talk about. So the weak point mechanic is like a big addition to the Northern Wind game. It's going to add a lot of cinematic moments, and it's going to...
It also removes the, how to say, I guess, negative experience with dice rolling. Meaning that, like, if you are especially unlucky and you would be missing a lot, it removes that factor that you're missing a lot. Like, it gives you a kind of a resource you can use to your advantage, essentially to slowly, like, chip away the enemy. And it's a stackable resource which you can then expand and do something really nasty to the enemy.
Yeah.
So, like, in any case, it rewards your dedication and commitment into whatever you're doing in the game.
Which is super awesome, yeah. And then we have the Oni faction, again, like the Goblin faction. It's a new addition to the skirmish game. Amazing, it will add so much gameplay. It also obviously means that you will get the, well, you get the skirmish alternatives of the cards. So a ton of new gameplay.
That as well, and definitely, like, Oni are monsters, so they play a bit differently than the human factions. No, well, not human, let's say sentient humanoid species factions. So yeah, you're in, for something interesting.
You're in for a treat.
Same for the goblins.
Okay, so then we have the Chanra. She was the first additional hero that we unlocked. We basically now have 6 heroes. One of the social unlocks was the Tomoe Endless Rain hero, which basically means that you have now 6 heroes to play with. It just gives you a ton of options on how to play the game, who to choose in the start, and so on.
Yeah, and then of course, like, you can substitute any of the heroes with any other model from Eldfall Chronicles and basically make you your own hero. You can customize that hero and so on.
But the heroes that we're talking about, the 6 heroes, they do have a backstory. They do have like some quests that relate directly to them, some quest lines and so on. So you'll see more of a narrative play if you choose them. Whereas if you choose other models from the Eldfall Chronicles line and customize them, you will get to experience more of a customized story.
Yeah, from our standpoint, it's basically like this. When we have named characters as heroes, these are essentially, how to say, viewpoint characters. So through them, you will be, getting to know the happenings in the world of Kalad, how they, fit into it and so on. And not just that, what we are also planning, of course, in the years to come, we will be introducing new additional heroes, characters from different factions and so on. But these characters will be also reappearing. This is not a finished story, at least not for most, depending on what you will be doing with the campaign.
It's just one part of the Chronicles.
Yeah. Like, Northern Wind is just one chronicle, and there's a reason why the whole game is called Eldfall Chronicles.
There's a special S in the Chronicles.
Okay, so moving on. You're gonna get like multi-stage boss fights, especially the Rift Spawn. It will be a tough cookie to crack. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
For those of you who are, like me, fans of things like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and games similar to that, or the old school hack and slash, I think you'll be having a blast with this.
Yeah. Then you will be able to choose for the heroes the light and dark leveling options at the end of their leveling paths. So this will basically introduce more of a narrative leveling option. And I guess the rest of it is more of a secret for you to unlock when you're going to be going through your gameplay.
Yeah, but essentially you will be growing your characters throughout the story, and you can, and also like which path you choose can influence like the ending outcome and so on.
Yeah.
But in the end, this also gives you a lot of replayability. Like, you have a lot of options where you can test all the ways how you can play a single hero, not just with paths, but also like with how you equip them and so on.
All right, so a big one was the moon dial. It's basically a mechanism, so to speak, that allows you to track the day-night cycle and the days in your campaign. So basically the whole thing is counting down towards something.
Basically, if you look at it from the lore perspective, some time ago, the first empress of the empire, the nine-tailed Kitsune,
we're going deep.
foresaw that something really bad will happen with the blood moon over the Mount Byodo. And essentially, it was so bad that the empire was unable to, carry these things out on their own. They actually were encouraged both by the Bureau of Divinations as well as the Adventurers Guild to ask other factions for help. And this is how we get to the Northern Wind Expedition, which is a joint expedition of the Northern Kitano clan. So, the Warden of the North needs to take care of this because he's the Warden of the North. But he essentially needs to have the help of the Adventurers Guild and consequentially of the Hellion League, Coalition, and Sand Kingdoms as well. Each character has a different place playing into this larger story as well. For example, Anari is there like a diplomat, how to say?
Yeah, she's an envoy.
Yeah, she's an envoy of the, first and foremost, she's an envoy of Hellion League in the Adventurers Guild.
Yeah.
But she has been sent by the Adventurers Guild to the Empire of Soga to assess the entire situation, if it's dire enough for both the Guild and the Hellion League to step in and help out.
Yeah, but then ...
Stuff happens.
Yeah. So you're gonna learn more about all of the lore in the quest log. It's gonna be a huge document that you will be able to read through, and you will learn a lot of the backstories, so how the whole thing even started, how it's going, and how it will end.
Yeah, and lastly, if you haven't seen, we have concluded the poll you were making on the art prints. Check out the last update on those. And we included some extra for you because we just couldn't help, leaving the tied ones out. So, yeah.
We couldn't decide, yeah.
And Tiasha also wanted a few of them.
Yes.
It was really hard to say no to her.
My wall is too empty currently. It needs stuff to, okay.
Just to tell you guys, if you have any questions, we're keeping an eye on the Twitch chat, so don't hold back.
Aliash is basically just waiting to, interrupt the entire session with your questions, so please, just spam the chat. Okay, so let's move on to stretch goals, I guess. Patrick, would you... Oh, okay, can you move? Yeah, you can. Okay.
Zoom in, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Is that the top?
Nope. Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, so with stretch goals, many things unlocked, and I would say that every single stretch goal is a highlight of its own.
Yeah.
Personally, as I said, everything's a highlight, so I can't really, pinpoint a few things that I really like, because there's many things to talk about. For example, like you can see on the screen, alternative profiles, these really spice up the things, and also allow us as...
Put the mic a bit closer.
Oh, sorry. Every single stretch goal adds a lot to the gameplay, as I said. So I can't really pinpoint which one is the best, for me at least. Everything adds something special. For example, the boss, the alternative encounter tiles and things like that. Those, in my opinion, are amazing.
Well, I think everyone was waiting for the miniatures, because they not only add new sculpts, obviously, to the game, allow more gameplay in that way.
Yeah, but other things as well, add so much, and for us as game developers, they allow us so many things we can do.
Yeah, so I was getting to that. Basically, the miniatures seem like they give you the most gameplay options. Of course, you can play against new enemies, or you can maybe even choose. So, for example, the Chandra miniature was unlocked at some point, and so on. You have the Nikomata, the Komaina, which will be special little quests that you can even recruit them as your allies.
Not just them
point.
though, other things will have special quests as well.
We could talk about each stretch goal, I think, for half an hour at least.
Yeah.
But my point is that even the ones that aren't miniatures are extremely valuable. As you will see when you're going to be playing through the game, they will add a lot of gameplay, a lot of hours of gameplay, I would even say, a lot of new quests.
A lot of options for you to try out.
So for example, the Romance of Northern Wind stretch goals right here, so at 2.5, they add like a new gameplay element to the whole game. You will be able to establish new relationships, whether platonic or a bit more romantic, it depends on how you play, between the heroes. And that will be very fun, I think. It will also influence the whole storyline.
I mean, it's completely up to you where you take things, but they will definitely introduce something that is a double-edged blade for you when you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting.
So we got 2 questions right here. One is, will the art prints be available as wallpapers?
If the question is like downloadable wallpapers, we will be doing like a pack of these things. So if you mean for art prints like to be downloadable as wallpapers, we will be considering these things, but we have to like consider a few safety measures here, because lately, you know.
Put it closer to your mouth.
Even closer, like this?
Yes.
Okay. We will be taking care anyways about the art prints to make them safe, you know, to upload on the web without being abused by third parties and so on.
Yeah,
which happens a lot lately.
We are thinking about how to secure them. We know obviously that every art piece can be abused in many ways. Obviously, it's just that we cannot upload the full resolution, so like 4,000 pixels times whatever, and then, you know, expect them to be completely safe.
But in any case, we will be uploading some wallpapers and stuff like that. It's just like we have a lot of things to do, and that is one of the things on to-do list.
All right.
And there's another question regarding the limited items from the first campaign. I believe that's only the Amazon Gladiatrix, which is available in the Pledge Manager now.
Technically, it's Amazon Gladiatrix and Female Colossus from the core box. Like, there is an important thing to say here. We already spoke about that during the campaign. But in any case, like, when saying limited edition, we are limiting some miniatures to particularly important events. For example, you can consider Kickstarter campaign as one of such events. And like things like Amazon Gladiatrixes and so on, and collaboration miniatures, they are limited to the to these events. Some miniatures we consider limited to the packaging where you can find them, because like we have most miniatures available in pairs or, you know, as single minis. But for example, Chiyohime, she is limited to the Northern Wing core box, and Female Colossus is a miniature limited to the first edition core box. But there is to add that the first edition core box may at some point be, well, let's call it discontinued or rather repacked. That will be at the same time more affordable to new players, but it probably won't be containing the Female Colossus. It will be packed differently. Maybe it will have something new. I won't be telling you about that now, but just something to consider, that we have some minis that, you know, are steadily available, but also may get discontinued in one form of the sculpt. So Male Colossus, for example, will stay available.
So an important thing to note here, there are actually miniatures that will be gone after the late pledges close. So first, there was the live Kickstarter campaign, which ended. Now, in about 2 months, the Pledge Manager will open. It will stay open for some time, and then after that, the late pledges will open.
Essentially, backers do have access to all these things, so you shouldn't worry about that as a backer.
Yes.
On the other hand, like limited edition minis are in limited quantities with a reason, and, you know, if they somehow reach the, you know, limit of what we can produce for these particular models, after that we can't have them available. So if you are considering to pledge late, so after the backers conclude their Pledge Manager phase, you should be quick.
So those minis are the Amazon Gladiatrixes, which are always limited to the campaigns, to the Kickstarter campaigns. Mm-hmm. That means that they will be gone after the late pledges close, for good, basically, except in some
until
cases.
Particularly important events.
Yes. then the Tomoe Endless Rain will definitely be gone forever.
Yes. Tomoe is a collaboration miniature we made in collaboration with Axis Mundi Games.
Yeah.
So we can't have that available later on because that is basically breach of licensing contract.
Yeah. And then the Guildsword Knight is also limited to the Kickstarter campaigns, right?
It's a mercenary miniature.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can get it now or you can wait until some another event.
Yeah, but these are basically really limited miniatures, and we cannot guarantee if they will ever return.
That is correct, or at least not in the form that they will appear right now.
All right, so let's
still get a few more questions.
Go.
Cool.
So do you got an estimated time on the remaining sculpts?
What remaining?
Okay.
The new miniatures.
So when it comes to sculpting the miniatures, we are not taking any shortcuts. Every single mini we make, I personally, as art director, I personally invested a lot in these things. Like I make the illustrations, I make the concept art, and then I work, tirelessly with the 3D sculptor to have the mini finished to basically almost perfectly match the concept.
And also to prepare it perfectly for the manufacturing.
Yes, that as well. Like it's different when you make things just for 3D printing as when you make things for physical production, manufacturing. So we have to take these things into consideration, and that takes time. So on average, it usually takes around 3 weeks to have one mini done. Of course, we are making multiple minis at the same time, like different artists make different minis, and I have to work with every single one to get things done to the quality you're used to. And we here don't want to take any shortcuts, and we want to make them good. So
just to think why it's taking a bit longer now is because there's vacation time, it's summertime, and our commissioned artists, the 3D artists, are on vacation currently.
Some, not
all of them.
Yeah.
So whereas they are definitely sculpting, and most, I would say, are so at least 3 miniatures are at least to 90% done. We do not want to show them to you until they are 100% done.
Because it can easily happen to have some kind of misunderstanding about things.
Yeah, because it's hard to, I guess, show you. It's hard to imagine how the 100% done miniature will look like if we just show you the one that isn't, for example, posed perfectly yet.
As an anecdote, even Tiasha has problems with that.
Yes.
Until we are fully done with the miniature, she will be unhappy with it.
Yeah, because I'm always like, yeah, but isn't this kind of weird still? And then he's like, it's not done yet. And that's what we want to, I guess, avoid.
But in any case, we have currently, just for the information, we are sculpting the Goblin Shaman, the Bone Walkers, and the Guildsword Knight. And you will be able to see this
and Tomoe.
And Tomoe, Tomoe also went into sculpting just a few days ago. So you will be able to see these things, at least first of these models you will be able to see within a month.
Yeah.
But as we said, there's multiple things that has to be done, and we don't want to rush things. We want to have the minis perfect, as you deserve perfect minis.
Just as a note, you will probably see all of them finished, hopefully, to the pledge manager, until the pledge manager starts, or at least until it closes and the late pledges start. So we do want to sculpt them very fast, because they are the bulk of the process from here on out.
Mostly, yeah.
And you will be informed of all of this through our newsletter. Also, any discounts and other products. If you're subscribed to the newsletter, you should be covered.
Yeah, we'll be updated there as well.
Yeah, and through the Kickstarter updates, of course.
Yeah, definitely. You can expect that we'll be posting regular updates and so on, because we didn't do that much we didn't do much lore and things like that during the whole campaign, so there's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, so I see we have more questions.
Yeah, there's a question about Slovenian retails. Currently, we're already working with Črna Luknja, but we're already talking with others.
We don't know exactly if there will be any other retailers on that part.
In Slovenia.
Yeah, in Slovenia. Okay, so...
It depends on the retailers.
Is Oni Paraya also a boss, and if so, with multi-stages?
Yes, so essentially a lot of the minis that were unlocked do give us as developers a lot of room to develop the story further. and
spice up the gameplay.
yeah, and almost all the Onis are at some point bosses, and later on as very powerful mobs as well.
They can show up as mini bosses or as bosses. So there's like multiple stages to how a boss fight can look. So how epic of a battle it can be. It can just be a mob, right? Something that you can encounter whenever. There can be a mini boss, so it's a bit more difficult. You might die a couple of times or at least once. It depends on you really. And then the bosses are expected. You can expect them to be quite difficult.
And then there is to add
and there's multiple.
And they can be modified with the encounter rules and so on, and the quest itself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can always, there are difficulty settings, and you can always modify those. Okay, if we are subscribed to the newsletter, can we expect to be informed of any soon-to-be discontinued products? Yes, definitely.
Yes, definitely. Don't worry about
it. You will hear about any limited things way before ahead of time, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
All right. Will you make more event cards such as romance cards, culture-based factions?
You mean for this particular campaign or in general?
I think in general, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely,
we can talk about that later, but we do have plans for other dungeon crawl campaigns as well. We have a lot of areas to cover, so yeah.
And there's one question very similar to the ones I already have. So, are there any plans to continue expansions for Northern Wind beyond what is available in the Kickstarter?
So, as with everything, we want to expand already existing stuff as well. For example, for the skirmish game, it was not a closed thing. Like Samo is already writing another campaign and is organizing play system and so on, which will become available in September.
Or October.
But yeah, in any case, for the time of Essen, you will have these things. But when it comes to Northern Wind, we definitely will be expanding it also, not just Northern Wind as the Northern Wind campaign, but also alternative campaigns that can be happening in the same setting as the Northern Wind campaign, meaning that you can use the mountain tiles, the mountain setting, the same enemies for different kind of campaign.
Yeah.
That's something. Okay.
All right, so another thing we wanted to tell you, it's good news, I think, very big news actually for us. The German and Japanese skirmish translations of the Eldfall Chronicles, the first edition, are almost complete. The Japanese translations are already finished. I'm going to be uploading them probably tomorrow. They're going to be available under resources on the webpage. So, and the German translation will be available this month, I think. I still need to edit them, but they're very close to completion. So I will give it to you guys. You can check it. You can, give us feedback like you always do. We always appreciate it. And we're going to get on that.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
Yeah, and as we already advertised a moment ago, organized play and tournament rules will also be available shortly. In September or October at the latest.
Also the new quests and so on, because we have a lot of
that goes hand in hand in any case.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the questions that are still pending from the previous stream. All right.
No, I think we have first contemporary questions and then a few.
I think if I didn't miss any, I think it's fine. Yeah. All right, so did we manage to get any rest and recover well from the previous campaign?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
So when the campaign ends, there's still a lot of work for the creator before. Like in about 2 weeks, the Kickstarter is collecting the funds before they send them to the creator, and in the meanwhile, creator has a lot to do in terms of bureaucracy and so on.
At the moment that the Kickstarter campaign ends, the Kickstarter still needs to process the payments, and it takes around 2 weeks to send us those payments. That was done actually yesterday.
No, they didn't send it yet. They just collected them.
Yeah, they collected them. So, sure, yeah, it's a bit more complicated. But anyways, they notified us, and
there's a lot of administration in any case, and we have, as creators, have to do a lot, like the paperwork and everything like that.
But the good news is that Northern Wind is officially funded.
That it is.
And your funds are on their way to us. that means that, yeah, from now on it's...
Manufacturing time.
Yeah,
well, soon, when
well,
we
soon,
have all the files ready.
From here on out, we are tightening our helmet cords. Yeah.
We already did that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so if we got any rest, I think we can take a bit more rest from here on out. But yeah, we want to make sure everything goes nicely and everything is taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, like for the next week, since we are a bit burnt out, honestly, Tiasha and I at least will be taking a bit of a break from the businessy side of things, and we'll be focusing a bit more on the art, the lore, and things like that. To refresh a bit and recharge, because that's what we do.
Don't worry though, we're still completely active, like on our email and so on. So if you have any questions for us or any issues with shipping or whatever, shoot us an email. Okay, so how confident are we on the delivery date?
We are pretty confident.
Yeah.
We're much more experienced as the previous campaign, so all the challenges we were facing in the first campaign should be done much easier this time.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't as many question marks as there were after the first campaign and so on. I can already tell that for the entire campaign process already, because one of the reasons why campaign was also for us way more exciting than the first one, because there were not so many surprises behind the Kickstarter and the whole scheme of things. But yeah, like when it comes to logistics and manufacturing and so on, we have empirical data on how these things go, and
hopefully there's no more global crises that we can foresee. That was also kind of a hiccup, I guess, in the first campaign, although it didn't delay that much. But yeah, hopefully if everything stays the course, it should definitely go
with the current tempo, there's no problem doing that.
Yeah. All right.
Collaborations question, I think.
Yeah, is there a particular team you would love to collaborate with?
Of course, Axis Mundi were amazing to work with. They're really nice, and I think we have a similar kind of outlook on how to do things. But other than that, yes, we do have a few companies we want to work with, especially in the field of making game mats and sceneries, terrain, and so on. With some, we've been already talking at Essen. I don't think how public we can go about these things. But yeah, there are a few. Maybe you probably will be guessing which. But yeah, we do want and look forward to working with some of the terrain and game mat and RPG in general kind of companies.
Yeah, and possibly storage solutions.
Yeah, that
we'll see though.
And
no
some
promises
other accessories.
Yeah, you will know more in the Pledge Manager about any possible additions to the add-ons. All right, this is a fun one. What was a campaign highlight? I think we can each of us give one, maybe. I can start. So one of my favorite moments, I think, well, it wasn't, looking back on it, it's fun and awesome in itself, but at the time it was really, really stressful. So it was the last day of the campaign, and in Slovenia, we've recently had a lot of storms. And me and Žiga, we live on a very open field where our house is basically, I mean, we live in a flat and the house is basically on a cliff.
Over the field, so like on the highest point.
On the highest point, and that means that we can fall victim to lightning strikes very easily.
Not directly, luckily, but still.
Well, even
just
directly.
to search fluctuations.
Yeah.
It's dangerous for the equipment.
Yeah.
Very dangerous for the equipment. And as you can imagine, the last day was extremely hectic. So we were trying to upload new graphics, grammar check everything that was on the story on the Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, as a fun fact, like we creators, we cannot edit the Kickstarter page after the campaign ends. So one thing we didn't know the last campaign, but we did this time.
We didn't know that, yeah.
So, on the last day, well, not too soon, but not too late, we had to like polish out everything, add everything in the last minutes and so on.
Yeah, and just generally fix everything that we wanted to, for example, delete from the top of the page. Just, make the campaign look how we want it to look after the campaign closes.
Yep.
And that can only be done like a couple of hours before the campaign actually ends. And there was a huge storm 3 hours before the campaign closed.
It was like the worst. We were like in the eye of the storm, essentially.
We were in the eye of the storm. It was very, very bad.
Lightning, every few seconds a lightning. Like at one point,
I think it was, we just reached 250K. We were extremely happy, and I was glued to my monitors. I was like talking with you guys on the Discord. We were having so much fun, but also I was doing other things. And then all of a sudden, all of our 4 monitors just bleeped, just turned off
for a second.
Second.
No, there was first like a loud click.
There was a loud click.
Which I later luckily figured out that that's the sound the surge protector makes when there's a need for surge protection. And yeah, like monitors went off for a second and then turned back on, and we were like,
I was never so scared in my entire life, just thinking back on it.
Because not so long ago,
yeah.
A lightning storm actually fried all our graphic cards and things like that. So we definitely hope that this won't happen on the very last day of the Kickstarter campaign, and that was crazy.
Since then we have managed to buy like the most expensive surge protectors we could get our hands on at the time.
I wouldn't call them that, but
yes, however, they are still not. They still can't really prevent a lightning strike to go through if like there's an extreme amount of surge. But yeah, anyways, it was fine.
The computer survived, but like the whole day was like the final trial, you know, a divine trial we had to overcome.
It was like a veteran mode, yeah.
And to make it even more epic, the storm ended as the campaign ended.
Yeah. The storm ended right after the campaign ended. Like the storm also stopped, and there was a rainbow over the field.
There was a rainbow. It was amazing, but yeah. Okay, so do you guys have any highlights?
I think that was.
I think
that was pretty good.
I think we had the same experience.
Yeah.
We each added a part of
yeah. So yeah, that was awesome. All right. Did we have any other stuff planned that we didn't reach? So the stretch goals.
I mean, obviously there were plans that we had and so on, like things that we could make. But in any case, those weren't really. We did unlock everything we wanted for Northern Wind.
So everything serious we definitely managed to unlock. Everything that we really wanted to add was unlocked.
Yeah, like everything that would come later would you could say it would be messing around almost.
As people with a gigantic imagination, we always have stuff for you guys planned for the future. As you can see, we have 4 factions, so you know, more dungeon crawlers to come and so on.
More than 4.
Yeah, more than 4. But yeah, we always have more stuff to add, but we can definitely say that we unlocked everything we really wanted, and we are super happy, and yeah, that was already so good. All right. Okay, so the Pledge Manager, when does it open and for how long? So it
in
opens,
approximately 2 months.
Yeah, and it stays open for a couple of months usually. Yeah.
Something like that.
So are there any news on additional PM add-on options? So maybe the mats, painting supplies.
We will talk about that closer to the whole Pledge Manager thing, but there is a thing to say, like, we as free company won't be doing our own neoprene mats. We may be doing them in collaboration with another company, but on our own we won't be doing them. And the reason is that, like, making neoprene mats can easily cripple a campaign. So why is that? Because they are
behind the scenes.
Yeah, because they are huge and they are heavy. And while maybe not as expensive to make, they are definitely more expensive to ship around and logistically sort out than normal games. And that often can result in doubling the freight cost and so on. And
shipping costs for you guys.
Yes, like I got a lot of feedback from some other creators and so on. They really, did advise me against making something like that.
Yeah.
Because it can end up being really bad. Any questions?
Just not.
That's not?
It's a joke.
That's good enough. Next.
All right. When will the skirmish demo play video be releasing?
Like in a couple of weeks, we are redesigning a few things, like how we do make videos and what we can do. So you'll be seeing more of that.
Yeah,
later.
like we talked in the beginning of the stream.
Yeah.
So making the dungeon crawl videos isn't a problem. Making the skirmish videos is, because the guys need to be standing, and we don't have the space for that just yet. But we will.
And like
we're working on
a few of the equipment to like make a very good skirmish video.
Yeah, because we want to like show you exactly what they are doing. So we need extra cameras.
Yeah, if you want to do that in like a real time, and for things to look fluid, you know, and that we don't have to redo the scenes and stuff like that. Yeah, it takes a bit.
Yeah, but we are making good progress on that, and you will be seeing that in hopefully a month at least, or like let's say 3 weeks.
I mean, at
or
least
a bit more.
it will definitely won't be releasing in the next 2 weeks, but after that,
Yeah.
Dash will be working on it.
Yes. All right. Are you excited for the future of Eldfall Chronicles and Free Company? Yes, we are.
That's why we're here.
Any spoilers for the future? The ultimate goal?
I guess I'm the spoiler person, so maybe.
Don't spoil too much now.
What is like what I would consider an ultimate goal is to have a few more factions, to each faction having a few more minis, plot developing forward, having a dungeon crawl special campaign setting for many of the areas of the world. And what was I talking about? Like when we were going to questions.
So the organized play.
The organized play and like the global narrative events where all the players can participate, especially cooperative and solo players as well. So that would be kind of my ultimate goal, and we are moving towards it quite nicely.
Our general dream is to enlarge the community, so you guys always have someone to play with, so that there's like local communities all over the globe, and that we can really organize events where whether in the PvP or just like
in general.
Yeah, just in general, like painting competitions. We want to work on all of those, so
there's a lot already planned, but these things take time,
Yeah.
They cannot be, well, if I can say so, half-assed. So.
Okay.
Regarding the factions, there are quite a lot of stuff planned already. Since we finished the first campaign, we already had a lot of stuff planned.
Actually,
so we had. Yeah, you can finish.
No, I just wanted to say, like, you can actually go through a few lore descriptions and through a few models, and
as I find some hints over there.
Yeah, like as one of the hints, I always design things with cohesion in mind. And well, while the cultures of Kalad do cross-share, elements like technology levels and so on, you can definitely spot some distinct appearances here and there. And if you keep a close attention to things, you will be noticing some hints already for upcoming stuff in lore, in art, and so on. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess there's a question about the number of factions, the number of models per faction. Anything to add?
For now or in general?
I guess in general.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to expand all the factions and add more factions as well. I'm not telling you how many, but about adding more models, what I can say is that with the whole organized play and tournament system, we will be releasing more dedicated releases that are, tied to a certain faction, while always having some mercenaries in between for all the factions to use, and we'll be rotating these things, throughout a longer period of time. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and just always remember that whatever we make in the future, it will always be cross-compatible. So, yeah. That is also one of our end goals.
Definitely. Yeah. Basically,
So
make a lot more chronicles.
So here's a question: since we made goblins, are we planning to make orcs?
Yes, but
But
they will be special kind of Eldfall Chronicles orcs, not like the typical things you see
well,
around.
everything is a special Eldfall Chronicles.
I am actually very excited about them because I'm passionate about the way of combat they are doing, because it's like based on something I really like, and I put a lot of emphasis in researching these things and what kind of weapons would be really good for very strong species and so on. So yeah, that's all for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doji is already excited about the new Soga miniatures.
Who said?
That's all he heard.
No, everyone else but Soga is getting new releases. Just read it out loud.
Will there be alternative models for models which already have a limit of 2 or higher?
Yes, definitely. Like when the time is right, there will be.
Yeah, we currently are focusing on releasing new models.
Yeah.
Just so that you have immediately more gameplay options.
I mean, the rest of the question was if we will be introducing things like classification to models like infantry, heavy infantry, light infantry, medium infantry, and so on, like many other games have. But we do not want to limit ourselves that much, because still, like, the game is not depicting highly organized military structure of a modern army. It's a pre-modern setting with pre-modern things, and we like to keep things a bit more fluid, because at the end of the day you are playing a band of hand-picked adventurers, combatants, and so on. And we actually do not want to limit you too much on how, varying things can be. And of course, like as I said, there's a different military structure in the pre-modern time than in modern times, and the modern military.
Yeah, the only faction that actually has like a military structure is the Hylian League.
The closest to the modern structure is Hylian League, yeah. But otherwise, we don't want to limit things too much with this, and rather give you a more, in general, varying models with varying kinds of levels of equipment and so on. Yeah.
There was a question if we have a guide on how to assemble miniatures. So there are guides on how to assemble every miniature on our webpage. Some are missing, so the Wayfire miniatures are still missing. I'm sorry about that. I will upload them soon. And the Northern Wind models will all have their assembly guides. The older models, I mean the first edition models, already have them.
We're making things a bit easier for you in the future as well. Like all the upcoming packagings and so on will include a QR code that takes you to the assembly guide.
Yeah. And we also have one video where Gigo is actually assembling, cleaning the model. And
I mean, if you are new to if you already know and are, veteran in the hobby, that won't be of much use to you. But if you are new to the miniature assembly and the whole hobby of miniature games, then give it a look, and it can hopefully help you out in some things.
Yeah. All right. Is there already a grand story, or do you write the story along the line?
Of course, there's a grand story. Like, we're not pulling things out from our insert a noun.
The story has been in the making for a long time, and you have only seen a fraction of it.
Yes, as we implied earlier, it's Eldfall Chronicles, so there's many more chronicles to be had. But what that also means that, yes, we have like a general description of the world you already know, as well as the world you do not know. And yes, you will be, getting to know that with the time to come. But for now, we can say that yes, like as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, we now have the opportunity and the time and the resources to actually make more of that, make more of the lore, make some short stories. We already have like a first chapter of one online, but now we have like an opportunity to include more, develop these things further. And in general, give you more lore, because yes, there's a lot of it, and at some point we'll probably have to make a wiki on it.
Our brains are at full capacity, and we need to get them out so that, we will be sharing lore.
Also, Tjasha is writing things. Sadly, both me and Aljaž, we are bad at writing, but Tjasha is very good at writing.
They're great with ideas.
So, yes, so we just give ideas and world building, and then Tjasha has to make this into a comprehensible text.
Also, I'm not a native speaker, so apologies if you find any mistakes. Please let me know in the bugs reports, bugs fixes. What? Yeah, the
Whatever
channel
like.
of the Discord.
Yeah,
please. All right. Are we already sending out already made content earlier once the PM closes?
We definitely want to do that, but you will be knowing more about it in the PM phase. I hear that like GameFund does give some options on wave shipping and so on, but we need to test this out before we commit to anything.
We need to be sure that it works, and when we know it works, definitely we will employ that and we will let you know immediately.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so here's an interesting one about the quests in the Northern Wind. So there are 3 main storylines in the Northern Wind campaign. How much do these storylines overlap?
Not much actually. They mostly overlap only in the beginning and at the very end. But otherwise, they essentially take you on a different route to the top of the mountain. So you
will have some choices to cross paths, or how to
basically there will be some instances when you can change the path you are taking, but essentially how they work, shortcuts, but essentially how these work, one path takes you through the Shivering Valley, one takes you through the Mount Izuna, I think, or it was Izuna. No, that was the small mountain temple. In any case, but the other one takes you across the mountain littered with the monasteries and temples and so on. And there is to add that each of these paths has a different theme and is ruled by a different kind of Oni. So yes, you'll be having a lot of things to explore and a very different experience depending on the path you take. And there is to add, you cannot, in one campaign, you probably won't have enough time when it comes to the game timer, the moon dial. It won't give you enough time to, explore all the paths, of course. You will have most of the time you will be spending on one path and exploring around the side quests and things like that.
However, you can always choose to do a completionist run through. However, you will reach a different ending because you were probably a bit too late to reach the mountaintop.
Yeah, of course, something bad will happen.
But that in itself is also interesting.
Yeah, that it is. It's up to you.
Yeah.
I believe this question here so if you're playing a non-hero character such as the Wayfarers, do you skip certain narrative selections in Northern Wind? How do you know what to skip or not to skip?
So there is a general story and narration to the Northern Wind campaign, but there are also segments that come with every single character. Each character has their own segment, and this is all color-coded and everything related to that. And each character will introduce something new to the whole story and will present you with some choices you can take that can make the story different. With the, let's say, unnamed characters, you won't have these narrative extras, but there will be still some choices for you to make, and the basic narrative stays the same.
So we do suggest that for the first playthrough, you go with the heroes, because it will give you the most immersive narrative campaign.
And the most canonical story.
Most canonical story. And, well, I guess this is a bit of a secret, but, if you do play that, you can take part in the event and maybe influence the story a bit, the general setting. But I'm already talking too much. So please, for the first campaign, we really suggest playing with the heroes.
When you see Aliash sweating next to me, you know that we are releasing some information you shouldn't know about.
Usually after the stream, they tell me they shouldn't hit their legs so much. But when they start to spoiler territory.
He's kicking us under the table all the time.
The table is shaking, yeah.
My legs are blue. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so if you learn the game from the Northern Wind, what's the learning curve to jump into the skirmish, so the PvP mode?
Honestly, it's not that big of a curve, in my opinion. The only thing that's really different is the movement system. Of course, the flow of combat maybe is a bit different, especially when you're playing against a different player. But in general, I wouldn't say it's much harder. It gives you just a different kind of death.
So I would say, from another perspective, Northern Wind is more intuitive to play. It's easier to play from, that standpoint. It is a tile-based movement. It's much easier to understand from the get-go. But then if you learn the game from that point and go into the skirmish, I think it will be quite easy, because you basically just need to add one extra step and that's it.
Yeah, like you know all the basics, you know how the game works.
Yeah.
You already know how to manage your party. Even if you're playing with multiple players and control only one hero, you still know how the party functions and so on. It's not that hard to translate that to an open field battle. But then again, you will have a whole lot of fun exploring how a certain faction works, how it works against other factions in different quests and so on. So I just think you are in a lot of fun if you try it out, if you go from Northern Wind to Skirmish and vice versa.
Yeah, we're also thinking, you know how we have like the first edition sand terrain. So for our future releases of terrain, we are thinking of including the tile.
Basically, to
phrase
have
it?
an open field that is divided in a same way into similar sections as the dungeon tiles.
Yeah.
Just in case if you would want to try it out. But I have to say that like when we are making the tournament system, the primary way of playing a skirmish combat will be, you know, with an open movement.
Yeah, with a measure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a question. So community events to determine storyline outcomes. We will keep, how do you word this? We'll keep our hands on the outcome a bit, not to give like complete freedom to the community, but yeah, you will be able to influence where the story goes forward.
Yeah, I mean, we do have
Definitely.
a general idea where we want the story to go. That's definitely something. So we'll present you just with a few cases where you can take the story.
Yeah, so
We will probably find all those cases favorable, but they will achieve different things in the whole setting.
yeah, you don't have to worry that we're not.
It won't go bonkers.
Yeah. But we are giving you the option to influence the setting just a bit, so that it's, you know, more immersive for all of you as well.
So that you are fighting for something.
Yeah. All right.
Some other questions as well?
So the future expansions between campaigns, are they going to be similar to Wayfarers? And if so, is there a rough timeline we're willing to share?
The rough timeline we are willing to share is with the start of the tournament system, a bit later of course, not definitely with the start. So you could be probably expecting some in the beginning of the next year, but we are not promising anything yet. In any case, they will be similar to Wayfarers, but like with the feedback we received in general, both from players and distribution, in general, it would be better like if these releases are a bit more tailored to, you know, a certain faction, so that we don't make a release where you always get like one pack that goes for all factions. There should be like more packs that complement a different faction at different time, and yes, through a course of time we definitely do this for all the factions to keep them, you know, on the same level of the balance. But in any case, like factions will always we do like want to keep everything in balance all the time, so that shouldn't be a concern in any case. Anything else?
Since there are more than 4 heroes and we can only play with 4 at a time, can you play with all of them in one playthrough?
Yes. In what way do you mean, like all the other 2 characters as well?
So if you can probably swap them.
Yeah. There you will have some opportunities within the campaign where you will be able to switch out a character.
Yeah, it's going to be very narrative. Don't worry about that. It won't just be like, okay, now I'm just switching them
Unless you
changing.
decide to do it that way, we ain't stopping you.
Yeah, that's true. But there will be narrative moments in the storyline where you will be presented with the option to switch out one of your heroes.
Or if something bad really happens to your hero, you will have a chance that another hero picks that up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think we're kind of at the end. The last one was actually, do we have any update on offering assembly for all the miniatures that we currently have, and offering Sundrop in the Pledge Manager?
As I said before, Sundrop is a difficult thing. Like the reason for Sundrop, why is it difficult to make, is that essentially it works like this. You need a huge stock of minis ordered, and those are cast in black plastic, meaning that basically our resin would need to be tinted in black color. After that, they are sprayed, from top down with white spray, and well, I think usually at the end they are washed, and the whole process is after this happens, the whole miniature is not really suitable to be painted again because the coat of paint on it is basically just a tick at that point. Um, I won't say that's the case for everything, but that's just some of the feedback I received on the topic. And
Although
otherwise,
we are working with a new material here, so we are not sure yet. That's why we're still waiting until we can actually
yes,
tell you this officially.
at least when it comes to having these done by the manufacturer, there are a few other options that we are considering. For example, as I said during the campaign, there are studios we can contact to do something like this, or we can do that ourselves. And we will choose one of the two options probably, but you will know more about it in the pledge manager phase. In any case, yes, this is something we are considering of doing, as well as, of course, having the miniatures assembled in that case. But it has a lot of logistics behind, and as with anything else, we do not want to rush these things and just do something and then hope to recover from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're at the end of the questions, at least the ones I have here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to, like we said that we will be, I mean, it's already been more than an hour, but we said that we can talk something about like lore and things like that. If you guys are interested in something you want us to talk about, like drop us a few questions, we can probably address some three more. But otherwise,
Yeah, but if not, we're gonna make another stream more about just the lore in the future.
yeah,
Yeah.
more dedicated on the lore and so on, so that we don't constantly mix topics and yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Let's give them a bit of time now.
Yeah,
I think
we answered all of them.
from
Yeah.
our point, we are kind of finished.
But I guess in the meanwhile, while we wait, so there is like a whole thing to the northern wind, how it goes and so on. It has a big place in the whole picture and how things are happening. Actually, narrative-wise, that's why we haven't like released the entire Trials of Area questline, because it has something to do with Northern Wind. And when we were writing it, it just didn't feel right. It would give you, there would be some things that you would consider completely out of context without knowing the Northern Wind, and these will tie nicely together. There are some happenings in the world of Kalal that are interconnected, and all the things happening in those trials before, in the Northern Wind, and in a few of the things to come, will have a huge impact on the world. In some cases, you will be even able as a player to have say in things. But in any case, like Kalat is a living world, so things are constantly happening. It has a rich history. It has been through many ages where the world reshaped and was built anew and so on. But in any case, currently we are present in like a brief time of peace.
And there are no great conflicts.
Yeah, no great conflicts, but a lot of movement on every single part of the world. And a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, undercover, like in small skirmishes and so on. Things are starting to boil up, and the setting will be evolving through time. And
Yeah.
Northern Wind is just one of those moments where factions are stepping together, but just so that they will find some new problems in between themselves and with the rest of the world. Because from our perspective, it's like this: like factions are having their troubles, but the world is having the problems of its own, if you could say like that.
Yeah. It's gonna be exciting. I think when you're gonna.
One question.
Oh, awesome.
I believe this one's for you, Tiasha.
No lightning storms now to there. No, well, currently we have 2 days of peace. It's been 2 peaceful days.
2 days of grace, basically.
I have been able to turn on my computer, which is amazing,
Without worrying.
without worrying too much. But no, when I'm talking about lightning storms, they were really bad. Like, I don't think I've seen storms as bad in my entire life.
There was day during the night with every single
Yeah.
lightning.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Patrick actually took some really nice photos of
Yeah.
lightnings
Yeah.
over
It was
over
great.
our town.
Follow
For
his Instagram.
photography. Patrick photographs. Yeah, okay, I think there's one more.
Mhm.
Are Oni on Kalad, all over Kalad probably?
No, actually, well, at least not the ones we know about. So a little bit of background of the Oni. Oni are demons. So what's peculiar about demons in the world of Eldfall Chronicles is that you have humans, you have Rin, and similar cultures like that usually stem from the Age of Elders. But the demons come from an older age, the Age of Gods. They were essentially created as servants to the gods, to do different things. Because, well, like just a bit of out of character and so on, the gods were not allowed to intervene with mortal matters, but so they created races of their own,
War breeds.
to play around.
Yeah.
We already have things like that, like the succubi, but they are not violent, while on the other hand, you have the Oni, which are essentially bred for war.
However, you haven't really seen what the Oni looked like before they were cursed.
That as well. And the whole thing was that, well, in the final days of the Age of Gods, where the elders and gods had their own argument, something happened and the Oni were cursed to essentially be petrified for the ages to come. However, with the conflicts in the Empire, in the time of the Crimson Ages, the invasion, where Kalad was invaded by humans, there's something really bad happened, and the curse of the Oni is slowly breaking because of that. So Oni essentially now, end their hibernation every single winter to roam around and do things. And this has been going on for centuries now. But only recently, they were basically imprisoned in the northern mountains where they were not supposed to be found. But since one broke out, more started to break out through the centuries, and only recently, actually, the first accounts were, written on what Oni are, how they behave, and so on. And when they were cursed, they were also reverted to their primal state. And what they discovered is like the more, well, they are when they eat, when they feast, they are very like carnivorous. They have eternal hunger essentially, and when they feast, they start to absorb strengths and appearance of the food they eat. And you can see that with the more evolved Oni being more similar to the food they eat, which incidentally often is humans or Rin. And they also absorb or chimera, whatever they eat in any case.
Yeah.
But this also gives them abilities and at the same time reverse them to their more graceful form, make them more like they used to be, but at the same time they incorporate features of the things they eat. And you can see this with the Rasetsu, the more evolved Oni, or you can see that with the Pariah, which was like, a banished Oni that was not allowed to feast on humans, but instead found other beasts to feed on, and that a bit backfired, and now is a problem for everyone.
Yeah, they're also cannibals, so they ate their kin.
Yeah, that's why they were excommunicated.
Yeah.
And
that led to more problems, which you will be able to resolve.
Yes, but there is to say that Oni are not present only on Mount Byodo. Oni on the Mount Byodo just happen to be Oni that are under the command of Chiyohime. There are other Oni residing in the Empire, in different mountains and so on. So when the winter comes, the entire north of the Empire, it's a time where you close your blinders, set up the walls, fortify your fortifications, and hope that you survive the winter.
Yeah.
It's not true for the entire empire, but definitely for the most northern regions. And since this has been getting worse and worse, and Oni have been moving deeper and deeper into the empire, this is now something that other factions have to look into as well.
Yeah, and the Eye of the Storm is on Mount Byodo, so.
At least one for now.
Yeah. All right, I think we are officially done with this stream, so we can wrap up.
Yeah, sure. So thank you definitely everyone again for joining in, for asking all the questions, giving us a chance to talk more, with you about the entire behind the scenes, how Eldfall Chronicles is coming together, what we have planned, and a bit of the lore and so on. And as we already said, please don't hesitate to drop some questions on the lore. Of course, in the lore discussion, we can answer those in the Discord whenever you like.
However, we won't go too deep into the secrets.
That's
so
for sure.
So we do reserve that right.
That's for sure. But you can always drop questions, or if you would like us to talk, about something more deeply, and among ourselves, and you want to listen about it, do drop that in the stream content, and yeah, we will address it in the upcoming stream. We definitely want to do a more dedicated lore stream in the future, where we don't have to hold back and tie everything to the present, happenings and releases and everything that's happening in the world we live in.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us during the campaign. It meant a lot to us.
Yes, once again, that was in my opinion, one of the most pleasant campaign I've ever been a part of.
It was definitely one of the best things in our lives.
Yes, and you as community really made it a cheerful opportunity every single day, to tune in, to socialize with you, to be a part of your Discord discussions and on the comment section as well. It was insane. I really loved it, and it just proves how awesome the whole community is.
Yeah. So thank you for being awesome. Thank you for being here for us in the future, in the past, whenever, and yeah, that's about it.
Look forward to more Eldfall Chronicles.
Yeah. Anything more that we should talk about? No?
Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
In the northern reaches of the Empire, a terror plagues the land. For decades, the demonic Oni have descended upon this land, subjecting it to their insatiable hunger. The Empire was driven to desperation, resolving to confront the unholy menace at its very heart. Yet, as they forged ahead, hope was shattered by an ambush. Amidst this harrowing scene, 4 heroes stand torn between duty and despair. True salvation lies in conquering Mount Bjordor, where darkness reigns supreme. Embrace the chilling call of the northern wind.